What is your most controversial take on Star Wars? Not enough planet wars. Black hole wars or moon wars? Didn't they blow up that small moon from A New Hope? That snow moon. For a show that explores the fucking universe, so much bullshit happens in Goddamn Tatooine. Let's hide Vader's child on Vader's home planet with his family. Nobody will ever find the child. Vader would never look there because he doesn't like sand. Well, it gets in the cracks of his suit. I'm now picture Vader rolling in sand. Lasers lock doors. Lasers open doors. Lasers know what you want the door to do. What utter nonsense. They're blasters. Glad someone said it. What an earth hitter. Han is actually older than Obi-Wan due to time dilation. Time dilation in a universe where every planet and moon has same gravity and atmosphere. And just one biome. That way they only need one weather channel per planet edit. Thanks for the awards. And over to Klaatu for the Tatooine weather report. Klaatu, it's still sunny. Apostrophe. The Death Stars weren't badly designed, they were just badly managed. Yes. Designing them assuming large-scale assaults was stupid given the political state of the galaxy, but the second Death Star wasn't even finished, so that doesn't count. It's all Palpatine's fault. As for the first one that was finished, the Alliance made 3 runs on the exhaust port. The first was called off before they made it to the trench. The second failed, and the third was carried out by Space Jesus, which isn't exactly fair. All in all, it sounds like a fairly effective defense when you consider the design philosophy. Edit. Response to some points people made. Some people pointed out Galanerso's sabotage. This is again a management problem. As if you let a saboteur on your team, and he changes the design, that's on you, not the design. Other people said it was ridiculous, one shot took out the whole base. First of all, see again the sabotage point. But also, single points of failure are more common than you'd think. Aircraft, for example, have loads. You can't always engineer them out, so what you have to do is make it so there's no one decision that can cause it to fail. Didn't the guy from Denmarkian, intentionally build the Death Star to have flaws because he was forced to do it? Then Darth Vader had that badass hallway scene. I think that was in Rogue One. But I don't know a lot about Star Wars, so I may be misremembering it. The robot in that movie was very funny though. A guy from Denmark is a Danish guy. As I said, I don't know a lot about Star Wars. Okay, that got a smile out of me. Not sure if controversial, but they need to take the franchise and yeet it 200 years in the future. I'm tired of the Empire era, where they need to justify why more than 2 Jedi and 2 Sith exist at one moment, alongside knowing everything is pointless until Luke leaves the farm. Alternatively, I'd like a film about when the Republic was at its height. 1000 generations is 25,000 years, and we've had 9 movies about the last 60. And there is one man who can foresee the fall of the Empire. He toils away in obscurity on Coruscant until his psycho-historical theories become too much for the Galactic Federation to bear. He is exiled to Terminus along with 100,000 of his followers. Here they set up a new foundation to save the galaxy from the fall of the Empire. Or maybe that's been done before IDK. Sounds like a solid foundation. While the foundation sounds solid, I'm not sure it would impress the executives at Disney. Perhaps they should come up with some sort of second foundation and see if another streaming service like Apple TV Plus would like to syndicate it. It is shown on multiple occasions that droids are very much alive with their own personality. C-3PO, R2-D2, L3, K-2SO, and more. It's clear robots are as alive in the Star Wars universe as any other alien race, yet they are treated worse than slaves by both the good and bad sides. C-3PO and R2-D2's memory being erased like it's nothing, given away like slaves. It's quite hypocritical from the good side to treat droids like slaves yet be all goody two-shoes about helping the flesh-bodied creatures of the universe. In fairness, R2's memory is never wiped. In canon, the reason that droids develop personalities is because their memory is almost never wiped. That just makes it so much worse though. Oh boy. The machines we taught how to think and feel are thinking and feeling again. Time to wipe their brains, to make them forget how to ensure the galaxy can keep their robotic slaves. They have their minds forcibly wiped before they are able to reach full sentience. Yeah. An artificial life form that remembers too much is literally the plot point of Westworld. The universe and many characters are bonkers cool, but many times completely offset by poor writing, plot holes, and terrible plot devices. Edit. In response to some of the comments and fairness to Star Wars, Marvel/DC have the same problem across almost all of their fiction as well. Heroes have gotten way too over the top, where it just becomes dumb. Doesn't mean I'm not a fan of the overall universe though. Edit 2. There may be some confusion here. I should have mentioned that inconsistency is huge. Sometimes you have a character doing something incredible, but then that same character can't accomplish a feat that should be 100x easier than something he/she has done before. Somehow Palpatine returned. The dead speak, me. During the whole text scroll. Wait, did I miss a plot point from the previous movie? Yeah. It's called Fortnite. Jaws make me feel tingly inside. Utiny. Sika. It's Russian for bitch. And jaw is for egg. Apparently. In an entire galaxy. Long ago. Far. Far away. Why are there only, like, 4 people who do anything? And maybe they're related. Is always a game being played? Luke is Rey is Boba? Or is Han Obi-Wan's uncle? Darth Vader is actually BB-8. This is part of why I like Rogue One so much. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but what's especially appealing about it to me is that it's a bunch of nobodies who have nothing to do with the Skywalkers changing the course of the war. What's more, only one of them has a connection to the Force, and it's a weak connection. Maybe he would have been a Jedi, but also maybe not. The others are ordinary. They're just people, fueled by passion and trauma rather than wizardry. I get why they were all killed, but it also feels like a missed opportunity. Imagine a TV series about them as a Black Ops team. I get why they were all killed, but it also feels like a missed opportunity. That's why Rogue One was so good though. It didn't pander to the lowest common denominator movie goer and wrap the good guys in 10 layers of plot armor. They gave you likable characters and reminded you that sometimes tremendous sacrifice is needed for good to prevail. The original/legacy EU had a very similar backstory, in terms of rebel operatives obtaining the Death Star plans and making a desperate last stand to transmit them to a waiting Tantive Fourth. That one of the biggest issues of Star Wars is that they keep going all in on Palpatine. I mean, who gave a ref about the paint by numbers evil emperor during the Og trilogy? He should have been a Force ghost during episode 9. Some dark presence subtly messing with the universe, but not truly alive, or not at all cause. If anything I learned from Mass Effect, don't introduce the Chiss Master in the third part of a trilogy. Also they introduced him during the text scroll. Honestly, I think the more you need the text scroll to understand a Star Wars movie, the worse it is. Phantom Menace makes no sense without the text scroll, and that movie is awful. Ahem. They introduced him in Fortnite. I wish so much that this was a rest post. I judge most of my opinion of a Star Wars movie by the quality of its lightsaber fights. I'm not a fan of the Phantom Menace, but by God, were people impressed with the Darth Maul fight at the end? A double fucking blade lightsaber. Everyone forgets that non-superfans, myself included, had no idea a double-bladed lightsaber was even a thing. When that second blade pops out in the first trailer, I lost my damn mind. I wish they incorporates more lightsaber styles into the main trilogies. Edit. I mean physical lightsaber types. Different styles were partially implemented, but we could use more as well. Books describe Mace Windu's fighting style as wholly unique. We see him in a duel once, and we get no indication of how unique it is. Star Wars is actually the life story of C-3PO. Think about it. I disagree. I think it's R2's story. He had a much greater presence in episode 1 and 2 and 3, and got the same amount of screen time as C3 in 456. Foulest mouth in the galaxy. They had to censor every word of his. Chopper was definitely more foul. Chopper was made of foul parts, junk. Boba Fett is an oddly overrated background character, and even after watching the Book of Boba Fett, I don't really care about him. He was never a character. He was a cool helmet. Dude, he was so much more than just a helmet. He was a cool jetpack too. MC Chris has entered the chat. My backpack's got jets. Return of the Jedi is my favorite Southwestern film. Whenever someone says the word Star Wars, my mind immediately goes to any particular scene in that movie. People say the movie is disjointed, but every scene is memorable at the very least. I always think Luke in the iconic black outfit with the green lightsaber. That whole act uses badassery. Show up in a hood like a Jedi, but dressed in black, like you got some dark side too. Force choke a couple guards. Try to deal with Jabba. Kill a rancor. Make Jabba an offer he can't refuse. And just as he's about to kill you, we immediately realize this was all to plan just a second before finally getting the fucking GDS we've been waiting 3 movies to see. Fun fact, the saber was supposed to be the same color as original, but was changed to green in post because it contrasted with the sky better. Looks hella badass in the throne room duel anyway. Fun fact, the saber was supposed to be the same color as original, but was changed to green in post because it contrasted with the sky better. Looks hella badass in the throne room duel anyway. It's quite funny how the in-depth lore surrounding lightsaber colors was due to a few behind the scenes changes / requests. Green looked better against the blue sky, so suddenly GD can have green or blue blades, and the non-canon, I believe, explanation was warriors had blue, while highly force focused / attuned had green. Then in the prequels, Sam Jackson wanted a purple one and George granted it, before adding yellow and other colors, which further expanded the lore and what each color meant for the user. Lore is that purple was for GD who fought with emotion, skirting the line between light and dark, for example. I love the Sam Jackson story. He just says he wants a purple one so he can find himself in the arena fight, and Lucas just commits and they create some lore around it to justify it, and BMF and great in the hilt is awesome. The entire universe has a cool factor that outweighs the atrocious storytelling. Edit, my bad, you're live, just never heard anyone else say this. I didn't realize this was like common knowledge in the Star Wars community, lol. I've always been berated by neckbeards for not loving Star Wars in its entirety. Bro, imagine the following movies, but if they were in Star Wars universe: Magnificent 7 / a GD, Bounty Hunter, X-Imperial, Pilot, Wookiee, a droid, and lawman team up to defend a town against pirates. Dread / 2 GD climb up an apartment block to confront a new dark side user who has mental control of the entire apartment block. Supernatural TV show / a GD and their apprentice go around and solve and defeat dark side force spots, where the force consolidates from emotions and creates foul creatures to fight. Top Gun / but it's Wedge or something. Ford vs Ferrari / but it's pod racing or swoop racing or just HBO does Cotter 1 and Cotter 2 for me, and I'll be happy. They did a Magnificent 7 episode in The Mandalorian. Not certain, but I think there's a Clone Wars episode with the same blueprint. It's an extremely common episode format. Ironic seeing it suggested here. There is. They even credit Kurosawa in the opening. For purely story purposes, Han Solo should have died at the end of Empire. Harrison Ford had a stipulation in his contract for 7 then Han would die. That's because Lucas promised to kill him in 6th, but he didn't. Somehow, Han Solo has returned. They fly now. All Wookiees should be shaved. Edit, without cream. The spice sweet sounds of a million Wookiees screaming out like they just lost their best friend. Edit episode 2nd, Attack of the Clones. But of course my top comment in my ears here would be about Wookiee hygiene. Never change. Reddit. Good God, take that back. In retrospect, it makes no sense that Obi-Wan and Yoda didn't train Leia alongside Luke and just left her as a backup. As one character recently said, she's just as important. In fact, Luke shouldn't have been the sole focus of the original trilogy. It should have been both of them. It clearly wasn't planned in advance, but according to the story as it is now, Obi-Wan favored training Luke while Yoda wanted to train Leia. Right. Lucas didn't decide they were siblings until after Empire. Yoda. Are you referring to his one line in Empire? Or something else? Disney should have not even touched the time period where any of the original stories take place. They should have made entirely new stories set hundreds, thousands, millions, or billions of years before or after the Skywalker saga. I mean, I'm glad they made Rogue One and Jedi Fallen Order, but other than that, they should have made entirely separate stories that didn't even mention the Skywalkers or the Solos. I cannot fathom why they refuse to drop the legacy stuff. You have literally an entire universe to work with, and you continue to focus on this one small time frame and setting? Why? I thought you liked selling merchandise, Disney. Your last sentence contradicts your first sentence. John Williams is more responsible for the success of Southwestern than George Lucas. I'll add that the prequel soundtrack, https://yao2b/d_2bluevpsb0, was every bit as good as the original trilogy. Probably even better. Yes, the Imperial March is iconic as hell. Luke's theme, the one played on the French horn when he sees that the Empire killed his family, is melancholy and mood setting, and the main theme at the beginning is epic and heart pumping. But Duel of the Fates, the song from The Phantom Menace, is just as iconic, just as moody, and just as epic all at the same time. It's an absolute masterpiece that gives me the same feeling as Carmen of Burana or Beethoven's Fifth. I actually really enjoy the political side of the prequels more than the actual action bits. I find the fact that Palpatine controlled both sides of the conflict to be super interesting, as well as what the separatist planets thought. There are a handful of Clone Wars episodes where Padme visits an old friend that happens to be a senator for a separatist planet. Oh, and the clones. The ethics behind the clone army, as well as the implications that come with their purpose. So yeah. As much as I like the rise and fall of Anakin, the politics and world building of the prequels is way more interesting. Also, I actually really enjoyed Jar Jar episodes in the Clone Wars. Same. I love the espionage and politics. The stories are actually really good. It's just the delivery is kinda weird. I want more politics from the end of the Republic. The universe works better as a gunslinger space western than a space wizard fantasy. Mostly if you're going to begin and end every story on Tatooine. Nor because western also lends itself pretty well to noir, which opens up the universe for all the hive cities, industrial planets, and undercities. You can be a gunslinger just as well in Coruscant as you can in Tatooine. It's just the scenery and maybe the weapons that change. But Lone Wolf flies into port looking for work is the bread and butter of Star Wars stories. I like Hayden Christensen. There, I said it. Anakin was a spoiled, emotional mess that flipped out when he didn't get his way, and this has been pretty consistent with Vader the entire saga. I saw life as a house and was like, oh shit, he can act. It's clearly just Lucas' shitty direction that made him look so bad. Even Natalie Portman looked bad in a lot of scenes, and she can clearly act well in many other works. Thank you, George and Hayden, for such quotable lines that will never be forgotten. Darth Vader should been completely removed from Rogue One except for the hallway scene. Only sort of related, but I loved how Vader was handled in Jedi Fallen Order. Having him be this warrior of strength that's so immense he launches a powerful Jedi in her own right to her death with a wave of his hand. And being so powerful that even after all the work you've done in the game you're hilariously outmatched made me really feel the strength he carried and the fear people had for him. It would be cool to see him use that way more. Vader was handled so well in Fallen Order. Star Wars was never good from a movie criticism standpoint. It's not meant to be super in depth, and it relies on cool visuals and action, which is completely okay. Like Harrison Ford said, it's not that kind of movie, and it shouldn't have to be. When I watched Star Wars: A New Hope, I thought the acting was pretty bad and the writing wasn't great. It's the action and special effects that saved the movie. The next two were much better acted. To be fair, none of the actors were seasoned at that point. Kerry and Harrison had done one film each and a bunch of small TV spots. It was Mark's first film. Alec Guinness and Peter Cushing were the most seasoned actors, and I know the former hated being there. Plus, I think that Lucas is really bad at getting good performances out of his actors. The best acting was always in the two that he didn't direct, Empire and GD. He turned Natalie Portman into a wooden character that looked to be reading off a teleprompter. Thank you. Portman crushed it at 12 years old only in The Professional, but looked stiff as a board and just as bored in Star Wars. How do you manage that? R2-D2 is the true hero of the main Star Wars movies. Boba Fett in the yacht was super lame. He didn't do anything remarkable, except losing a fight to a blind Han Solo and dying. The only thing cool about him was his armor. Kota 2 is the best piece of Star Wars media ever created. As a kid, Darth Nihilus scared the s out of me. Going into that boss fight, I had to keep reminding myself that it's just a video game. All of the villains of 2 were good. The whole Force wounds idea was cool. A guy who couldn't die, and Nihilus sucking the Force out of everything. These guys actually felt dangerous. Nihilus could feed on planets. Dude was practically a Death Star. I like Star Wars. The movies, the shows, the games. But the community ruins it. They complain and be about every single thing there is. It's fantasy, not history. I'm sick of hearing about Luke. Please stop bringing him in every show. I wish they'd explore the universe with new people / planets. Luke is great and all. But yeah, you can't tell me that every cool event in the galaxy involved him. Which is why Rogue One was so refreshing and didn't fall flat. It was a story that was tangentially related to Luke, but it was about people that the universe had largely forgotten, but had a huge impact on current in-universe events. I liked it. Why the hell did Thandie Newton's character blow herself up? So the bridge blows up, so they can steal the unobtainium. It's a great universe with interesting races, politics, mythos, magic system, etc. But no movie rises above good. Only a couple are even better than above average. Most of the good Star Wars media are TV shows and video games. Also, Star Wars is a fantasy series, not science fiction. When I tell people I'm a huge Star Wars fan, either they also are, or they hate it. The story is so bad. I don't get why you like it. And I agree. The story is really simple. Hey random farmer, go save the princess and the entire universe. Congrats. You're a hero. But the universe is incredible. It's so deep and really well made. You could take any movie, and with a few minor tweaks, it could be a Star Wars movie happening somewhere in the galaxy. They should actually redo the prequels with Darth Jar Jar. Counterpoint, redo the sequels with Darth Jar Jar. I thought bringing back Palpatine in episode 9 was the stupidest thing ever. But if instead they had brought back Jar Jar and revealed him to be the primary villain of the entire saga, I would have loved it. I wonder if he comes out with a deep scary villain voice, or if his true form is just the same. I like to think he might lower his voice a little, but he'd still talk with the same accent. Misa made Snoke. I liked episode 1 a lot. I thought it was great. As far as I remember, it was the first movie I ever watched. Was amazing for me. Wanted to make films ever since. I'm now a sound effects editor. The audio in the pod racing scene is pretty phenomenal. Star Wars is the holy grail of sound design for a lot of people. I had the privilege to work on a Lego short film based on The Bad Batch this year. It was a blast. Fans ruined the whole franchise. That's pretty much every franchise.